All right, welcome again to another episode of Arcc Insights, the official podcast channel of Arcc Spaces, where we bring to you the most valuable business insights and tips from our members, leaders, and as well as our partners. So today we have Arun Sugumaran over here, co-founder of ArtWallStreet. And ArtWallStreet is actually a DeFi platform for physical arts and also collectibles. So if you happen to be an artist out there who is looking for exposure, probably this man is the guy to look to. All right. So Arun, welcome to the show. How's your morning been so far?
Oh, it's been good. Just doing our daily, catch ups with the team and excited to be here. So thanks for having me here to share more about ArtWallStreet
Right.
and the industry in general.
That's some good progress to hear, definitely.
Yeah.
So I believe your company is actually no ordinary platform for artists here, but a rather forward-thinking one because it seems to revolve around the blockchain tech a lot. So probably you might want to start to share with us more on what ArtWallStreet is
Yep.
and its mission.
Sure. So thanks for the kind introduction and just sharing a bit more about ArtWallStreet.
Yeah.
ArtWallStreet is a DeFi investment platform for physical art and collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our main point of differentiation. I mean, our focus is on physical art and collectibles. I think you would have heard a lot of news and hype around the digital scene, digital arts and collectibles over the last 6 to 8 months, and we're really excited about that. But our focus is on the physical side.
Mm.
So our main mission is to make physical art and collectibles more accessible to everyone. So traditionally, that asset class has been fairly inaccessible, only affordable it's only afforded by high net worths, and the man on the street or the mass affluent have no access to these art collectibles. So our mission is to change that, leveraging blockchain technology.
Yeah, that's good to hear because I believe not only just high net worth individuals who are looking into art, but also common people like us, they have high interest in art out there. And I think it's really good to hear that people like you and your team are actually trying to do something to get themselves more exposed to this.
So yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if you're aware, but so the art and collectibles industry, the market size is not really well defined, but we know it's huge. So some bank reports claim that it's USD $2 trillion worldwide. Right. Only 3 to 4% of that is traded every year through traditional auction houses.
Mm-hmm.
And private sales, right? So like you said, the man on the street would not go invest in like expensive art or vintage cars, for example.
I know, right?
Or expensive jewelry, right? So I think our mission is to change that. I think it's an asset class that has been kind of shut to the mass affluent or the masses and the middle income segment. And I think there's a big opportunity there for us to change that.
Yeah, even myself, I think I might take this chance as well to see what else I can collect in the future.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, and you might want to elaborate more in a nutshell how ArtWallStreet works actually.
So what we do on the supply side is that we onboard artists.
Okay.
From emerging artists to established artists,
Mm-hmm.
and we onboard their artwork on our platform. And we then give them the opportunity to tokenize the artwork, meaning we convert them into NFTs, and we enable those artwork to be put on the platform and be auctioned off to anyone on the platform on the demand side.
Right.
On the demand side, we're working with mass affluent segment, right? So that's middle income to mid-high income. Think of the target market as anyone who's invested in stocks, right? We have many apps out there that enable you to invest in the equity markets. We are kind of parallel to that, but for art and collectibles. So we enable, the masses to invest into art collectibles, similar to how people are investing in stocks right now.
Okay. That sounds like there's a lot of new terms over there, and don't worry, I guess we'll get down there. We'll trickle down there. So, so for now, according to you, how is the art industry changing, and how will it be like in the post-COVID world, according to your opinion?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think even pre-COVID, there were there was a lot of innovation in the art space. So pre-COVID, there was, AR tech, augmented reality, virtual reality, VR tech, um, online galleries using those technologies. And I think what has happened is during COVID, some of these technologies have been accelerated in adoption. So obviously, people are not traveling. You can't be in person in physical spaces due to restrictions. And so there has been an acceleration of adoption of digital solutions during the COVID period, which is now, almost 1.5 years, right? Time flies. And I think post-COVID, if there is such a term, COVID is becoming endemic, as we all know. I think that velocity of adoption will continue. So you'd see auction houses, artists, and other service providers adopting tech. Take, for example, the big auction houses who are already auctioning off digital art, and dealing with cryptocurrencies, who are already, setting up virtual galleries and virtual auctions. So, we have COVID to thank for that, if we have anything to thank COVID for. And I think post-COVID, I think that's what's going to happen. I think, people will continue to, on that velocity of adapting solutions so that they're more, kind of connected to an audience, and to other artists maybe.
I guess it's a sign of growth whereby because of COVID, a lot of people, companies, any stakeholders in the art industry, they're also forced to adapt, right? That's what we are seeing right now.
Correct. I mean, you see that with hawkers. Our nation's pride. I mean, I've personally seen a lot of them adopting more digital solutions.
Exactly.
So I take my wallet out less. I don't like coins. So it's easier to go and buy your kopi in the morning, without using coins. So I mean, that was accelerated during COVID. I literally saw that happening at the market near where I live. Where I was like, oh wow, there are more and more vendors, using digital payments. So I think even with other segments, other verticals, work, Zoom calls are a thing now. It's almost a norm. It's, so like that wasn't something that we thought about 18 months ago, 20 months ago. So in the art world, I think similar changes are happening, where artists are trying to grow their online presence, exploring more tools. They are starting to learn more about what's happening in the digital art space, which is great. I mean, I think it's all accelerated by COVID.
Speaking about hawkers, at times I forgot my wallet and my phone just saved me. So
Exactly.
it's a great phenomenon to embrace as well.
Exactly.
So actually, there seems to be a lot of ground covered today about the rise of blockchain in the art industry. Right. So, and I think probably today we will need you to further elaborate on the technology of blockchain and the rise of NFTs for us, like what you mentioned just now. So, how are these developments going to change the industry, or like what some people think it is actually a bubble that is going to burst in time to come, or is it not?
Okay. So I think there are a few aspects to that question. We'll start with what is blockchain technology. So I can't claim to be the best expert in the world. I mean, I do understand the space, but in simple terms, it's a distributed ledger, or what you call a distributed database.
Right.
And data is recorded in this distributed ledger or database by some form of consensus mechanism, right? So no single person can record data. So in simple terms, it's based on consensus, and that's how transactions are recorded.
Amazing.
On blockchain. And blockchain has been around for a very long period of time now.
Oh, okay.
The biggest challenge that blockchain and blockchain projects have faced is that adoption is the biggest challenge, right? The audience or customers, even big enterprises have a hard time understanding blockchain. But that has changed in the last, I would say, 18 months, thanks to a few companies that have made, it a bit more accessible.
Okay.
How so? They're riding on consumer behavior. So I don't know if you were growing up, whether you remember collecting all kinds of different like collectibles. For example, like during my time when I was growing up, kids were crazy about Dragon Ball cards.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they were crazy about some soccer cards, or whether it was Hong Kong Stars, where whether you get Andy Lau on a card, and you collect that,
Yeah,
right? Or whether it's magic cards, right? And people collect that and trade that, and they'll sell it,
Yeah.
right? And some will say, okay, I want $20 for this, right? And then as a 10-year-old kid, you're thinking, wow, $20 back then, in the late 80s, 90s, that's crazy, right? And be like, why the hell would you spend that kind of money? And it's the same conversations that we're having today, right, about collectibles.
Okay.
Instead of physical, there are digital collectibles now on the rise.
Yeah.
Part of that is art, right?
Okay.
Part of that is also things like collectible kittens. I'm not sure if you heard of crypto kitties.
Oh, I think I saw it's like some kind of game, right?
Well, crypto kitties are basically it's kind of like a collectible platform where you can create unique kittens.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
breed kittens, and when you breed two kittens, a unique kitten is created, right? And people start trading these unique kittens that they trade. I mean, it's cute. It's a cute factor.
Yeah.
People understand why it's unique, right? They understand why it's unique because a token represents this unique asset. So that token is basically an NFT, right? And an NFT is basically a token that represents a digital asset or an asset in the real world.
Okay.
So people started understanding that, oh, okay, I get it now. You can trade this unique digital item. It's one of a kind online.
Yeah.
It's represented by a digital identity or a token. And people started realizing, okay, that's what blockchain technology is, right? People, like it gets more adopted now. And then, you have NBA Top Shot. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's an amazing platform. Basically, in the past, people used to collect NBA cards. Okay, I trade NBA cards with you. Now you have highlight clips or highlight reels, videos that you can actually trade. Right? So you own, maybe it's, whether it's in the LA Lakers or the Bulls or whoever you support, and there might be a very exciting play, right? Whether it's a 3-point shot or whether you're laying up or it's an amazing slam dunk, and there's a highlight reel for particular players of particular teams, and that becomes a unique highlight reel that they release in what they call drops. You can open a digital packet, you don't know what it is, and then you realize what highlight reel you have, and then you start trading that with people, and that's enabled by NFT as well, right? So I think what's happening with blockchain now, or the great thing that's happening, is that it's something that people are starting to understand, led by NFTs. So NFTs is enabled by a blockchain, but I think blockchain has now received more spotlight thanks to NFTs, thanks to digital art in the last 8 months. And therefore, what's going to be exciting is I think there'll be more and more solutions built on top of blockchain. I mean, you're seeing banks now looking at adopting. I mean, they've been looking at blockchain for the longest time, but they're now kind of implementing a lot of those plans that they had.
Right.
And you're going to see that more in enterprises and in SMEs as well.
It seems like we are all looking at blockchain as the next web era, whereby it's equivalent to how much the internet back in the days actually made such a huge impact globally.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. So talking about the digital forms of art, I myself, before this podcast, right, I've done some research. I've seen a lot of digital forms of NFTs going around the market.
Yeah.
So they're actually sold with very high prices online as well.
Yeah.
So to be honest, personally, I'm actually quite surprised that there are actually people buying something with a presence that can only be felt on the internet. So a few of them that I saw is something like the CEO of Twitter's very first tweet to be sold at such a high price, and there was a very cute cat with some rainbow stripes going on,
right,
in the form of a GIF.
Yep.
Yeah, all sold at very high prices. So I was wondering, how does an artist actually determine the right type of audience to sell their art pieces? Whether is it gonna be physical or digital form or not? Yeah.
So this is a bit of a, I mean, sometimes I view it as a philosophical question. Like, how do you value something, right? If you go on Carousel today, you're gonna find all kinds of interesting items on Carousel for sale, right? Someone just showed me the screenshot yesterday of a BTS meal from McDonald's, right, on sale for $2,500. Okay, so to me, I'm sorry, I admire like the Korean like entertainment industry. I really do. But the BTS meal is really chicken nuggets with special sauces, right?
Yeah.
And purple boxes. So I apologize to all the BTS fans, but
Oh.
why is that worth $2,500, right? So back to that question now. Okay, the CEO of Twitter tweeting
Yeah.
his first tweet. I mean, that might be more valuable than a BDS meal in context, right? Perception wise, that's kind of like, if you think about it, the value of that is, I mean, let's start with that and say, okay, that is probably worth more than chicken McNuggets.
Yeah.
But going back to that, I mean, the history of art, and how it's evolved, typically art increases in value over time.
Okay.
Right? And a few factors that affect art, right? One is the scarcity of art, right? How unique it is, and of course liquidity in the market, whether there's enough money in the market to purchase art and collectibles, and of course changing consumer trends and tastes, right? So so you kind of said that you're surprised by how recently like there was this hype around digital art and how expensive some of these items are listed for and sold.
Yeah.
So you have to keep in mind, a lot of these digital art forms are tokenized as NFTs, and so they're scarce, right? So firstly, there's a promise of scarcity. It's one of a kind. It's unique on the internet. You buy it. It's a digital asset that you own forever.
Right.
Even if they're copies, you have kind of like the certificate for it. Let's call it a certificate, right? So there's scarcity there. There's also liquidity, right? So you must understand that, excuse me, you must understand that there have been many early adopters of cryptocurrencies, like 5 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. These early adopters are now multimillionaires in the crypto sphere.
Okay.
Right? Of holders of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So as much as you wouldn't be surprised if a millionaire drives a Ferrari, right? Like, okay, I can't believe he bought a Ferrari. Like, okay, yes, is a Ferrari like 100 times better than a Toyota Corolla, maybe 10 times. But why is he paying that much money, right?
Yeah.
And I think similarly, when you have that much liquidity, it drives the price of digital art and NFTs as well. People are consuming. Some of them are also, I would say, crypto evangelists, blockchain evangelists. They believe in this new form of assets and therefore invest in it. And then lastly, you have consumer trends, right? Changing. So, if you compare trends 20 years ago to today, it's very different. How you consume games,
Yeah.
for example, versus 30 years ago versus today. And if you think about it, like from a form of entertainment, you see a lot of serious gamers spending a lot of money on in-game purchases, which to me it blows my mind. They're so committed to the game. For me it's a form of entertainment, but it is questionable, right? Like, why are you spending that much money on a game? And so I think while a game is not a collectible, it is still a digital asset now. In-game like purchase is an asset, right? Interestingly, NFTs are being used for that as well. But that's another topic. So I think that's what's been driving the price, and all this liquidity in digital art.
I see.
Yeah. And okay, now what's left to see is whether this continues as a trend, or whether it kind of normalizes, and whether it's going to be applied to other aspects. For example, like for us, ArtWallStreet, we believe that physical art and collectibles is the long-term game, right? It's a proven asset class, and we are using this technology to kind of establish ourselves in this asset class.
Yeah. To see how the industry flows right now, it makes me feel a little bit old right now, because personally I'm not someone who is into the digital art trend though.
Yeah.
Like what I mentioned, I'm still a physical person.
Yeah.
So a lot more art I've actually appreciated comes in a physical form. So I guess it's just a change of how people perceive art nowadays.
Actually, that's a very interesting point that you raise. And recently I was at online tech conference hosted by a bank
Okay.
that deals with high net. So it's a private bank dealing with high net worths, and it was a tech conference,
Right.
and they were kind of talking to their clients about what happens in tech,
Right.
or what's been happening in tech, and what's the future looking like. And they had one of the leading auction houses talk about NFTs
Right.
and cryptocurrencies, right? And the president of this auction house for APAC kind of said that they're starting to see crypto natives, holders of cryptocurrencies, starting to bid on physical art as well.
Oh.
Okay, so that's interesting. So it's not just that they're looking at digital art, they're starting to see a trend of crypto natives, holders of cryptocurrency, purchasing physical fine art as well. So, I mean, our hypothesis is that like that liquidity from the crypto world will move to the physical world in terms of assets.
Oh,
whether it's
that's
real
interesting
estate.
to hear, though.
Yeah. Yeah, real estate or physical art or any other collectible, or even goods and services. So I think that's a trend that's going to increase in velocity over time moving forward as well.
I see. That's very good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, like as we speak about a crypto-based marketplace, which is also a decentralized form of e-commerce, right? So will the rise of these platforms actually affect the general market established by the financial system set by central banks? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is something I think the world is curious about, definitely.
Yeah, I think the short answer is I think they'll coexist,
Okay.
right? So, these centralized financial ecosystems will continue to contribute to society, and they would have a very important role in the stability of countries, nations, and communities. So I don't think decentralized solutions are going to wipe out centralized solutions. I think they're going to coexist.
Okay.
They might be applied in different forms in different contexts, and I think there's still some time for the world to start understanding about what decentralized is
Okay.
and the benefits of that. So I feel that over the next 3 to 5 years, yes, there's going to be leaps and bounds made moving forward with blockchain technology.
Yeah.
Similarly, you would find centralized financial ecosystems adopting some of that technology or retaining some centralized solutions, some kind of a hybrid model. And what that means for the consumer is that you're going to have different options on the table, right? I think the consumer is the winner. So, if you feel like, okay, I don't really want centralized solutions, it's not in line with what I am as a person, I believe in decentralized, open data, transparency,
Yeah.
that might be a solution for you. Or you might be more financially savvy, right? You might say, okay, you know what, I want to invest in crypto, and I want to stake tokens, earn yield on tokens, because it's giving me higher yield than my, local bank account, So I think a lot of what's going to happen, and this is just me crystal balling it, forecasting it, I think there are going to be a lot of financial advisors down the road, and service providers coming out of nowhere saying, how do you invest? Should it be part of your portfolio? Maybe banks would start offering that as well as part of their services. Yes, you can have your fiat savings account, current account, but maybe do you want to have a crypto portfolio? And this is what our experts think. So banks might start hiring crypto researchers. You already have fund managers who manage crypto funds. And so I think there's going to be a coexistence between the two ecosystems, which is very exciting for all of us actually moving forward.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you believe as the world moves forward, it's going to be more of a each to its own kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I would say each to its own, drawing down from the best of both worlds, right? I mean, I think the key is that you will have options. So maybe you might have an Amex card,
Right.
that gives you great miles, and you still buy a coffee with your Amex card, right, at one cafe. But maybe there's another cafe that accepts tokens, and every token that they accept automatically contributes some social cause.
Right.
Whether it's animal conservation or serving the underprivileged in society, and you say, you know what, I resonate with this cafe for that. I want to pay in tokens because this, this cafe accepts those tokens. And so as a consumer, you start relating to different things. And I talk about miles. Hopefully, travel comes back. I mean, I have faith that travel will come back. But and I think it's going to be interesting, right? Even with travel, imagine if you could start spending in crypto. You don't have to go to money changers anymore, right? It could be a universal token of identifiable value that does not depend on a geography or a central bank system, right? Imagine if you travel and you just started paying in whatever particular cryptocurrency that is available for travelers at that point, in a very widely acceptable format. But at the same time, you might still use your credit cards for other things, right? Maybe for your Spotify subscription or like your Netflix subscription. So this is what I mean by you're gonna, and I think, we are in Singapore. I think Singaporeans always look for the best deals.
Yeah.
And I think, community-led, there's going to be some experts coming out in forums saying, hey, you should get this card or you should get this wallet, because it gives you the best outcome. Maybe you should buy furniture with crypto. Here's why, and so and I think it's not too far off. I honestly think it's a couple of years away, maybe 3 years away, maybe faster.
Yeah.
And I'm personally excited about that, how blockchain technology is going to be embedded in our lives, part of our fabric and part of society. There's a lot of benefits to the technology, and the biggest hurdle, like I said, at the start of the podcast, is that basically having mass or society-wide adoption of the technology has been a challenge, and educating people about the benefits, and that's changing now, led by NFTs, digital art, and that's going to, I think, flow into other applications and verticals as well. So I'm super excited to be in the space, actually. It's actually a privilege to be part of the evolution of this nascent market.
Sure. I guess it's good to see that because of emerging tech blockchain, right? So we have a lot more offerings that we can embrace through, I foresee people marketing, their own stuff, their own way already. So it's exciting to see, definitely. So, okay, last question here.
Okay.
So would you like to provide some advice for artists today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've many artist friends probably in a better position to give advice. I mean, I'm not an artist myself, but I definitely appreciate art and the work that artists do. I mean, I think the main thing that I'd say is that technology is a tool, and technology will evolve over time, and I think there'll be many amazing tools that come up to surface over the next few years. But the key is that artists firstly have to remain true to themselves. They still have to build their identity, work on the quality of art, so their identity, their story, and the quality of art makes a difference in price as well. Ask any art appraiser, and they benchmark you against different genres of art or different periods of art. And if you're a young artist, I mean, this advice probably goes out to more young artists. I think the distraction would be to say technology is going to transform my art. Yes, there's some tools that will do that, but technology is not going to transform quality of art and your brand and identity, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'd say the advice is to use technology to help you build that story, help you build the identity and help you build your craft. And then think about tech and solutions that will increase or amplify your presence, whether it's online or offline, so that people can discover you. So being discovered is key. And for the audience to understand your story and connect with your story, your art, is also key, right? And so that still remains very, very important. If not, even in the digital art space, you're going to find lots of art that doesn't get sold. It's not valued very highly. And that happens in the physical art space as well, right? Not every piece of art is worth $1 million.
Yeah.
So the focus is really still focusing on your craft, your identity, and the story that you're telling, or the brand, as I call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a combination of developing your artistic skills as well as your business set of skills, right?
That's right. I mean, some artists may not like this, but art in itself is a business, right? You're producing something that's amazing. You are kind of like the manufacturer, right? And you are obviously art is a form of expression. It's an identity. It's a form of communication, and it obviously personifies the artist or what the artist believes in. But at the same time, you need sustenance as an artist, right? And for you to have a sustainable career, hopefully your art gets sold as well. And just like any other business, you have to learn how to sell, right? And
Definitely.
you need to learn how to connect with your audience. And so you're right, and it's just not just the artistic skills, but the business side of it. And I would say maybe that's kind of like the biggest weakness that many artists have. Like, how do you sell art? Hopefully, these tools that come on board over the next few years help these artists become better sellers of their art.
Yeah, that's good to hear. All right, so if you're an artist, you have heard from the man himself. Arun, thanks for coming to join us for this podcast. So, if you appreciate art and if you are actually looking for a workspace with an artistic atmosphere to work in, come by 75 High Street by Arcc Spaces and you can check out the space for yourselves to see if this is a worthy space for you to work in. So, that's all for this episode of podcast. So, hope to see you for the next episode. Stay safe, stay positive. Goodbye.